are that segmented, high-value, white-glove treatment kind of organization. Those are just some of the things we do, but specifically at the end of the day, we guarantee our customers a certain level of experience, customer satisfaction, first call resolution with that group, because there's obviously a premium associated to creating an environment like this that is outside of the norm. So something I think that is positioning us not only domestically but offshore as well as creating that high-end touch point, if you will. And the last piece we all know is social media. I think we are up to 1.4 billion social media users worldwide, I think is the latest statistics that I've read. 70% of all internet users are engaged in some type of social media platform at least once a month. I can't keep up with myself, let alone be involved in something like Twitter to tell everybody else what I'm doing, so I'm not one of those people yet, but obviously the base is changing. The youth group is growing. I think in Asia we have the highest percentage regionally of Facebook and Twitter users than any other place in the world. And the customers now are starting to have more demand to interact with their customers or with their brands through non-traditional forums. Social media absolutely being one of those. So again, positioning ourselves for what we see as coming as and it's really already here, as a big game changer inside of our space. I would expect over time we're going to see less and less customers calling in through traditional methods to speak to somebody over the phone. There's always going to be the people that want to talk to a human being. But to have the luxury that we all have now with our iPhones, and I was sharing with Miguel and Mitch here earlier, the MMDA app that I've got on my iPhone. Now I know, before I ever have to go get stuck on EDSA or C5 or anywhere else, I already know the traffic situation. So simple things like that to make my life easier, saving time, are going to be the same avenues our customers of our clients are going to pursue to have their remote control fixed, to have their Toshiba laptop repaired. So we have to ensure that we're positioning ourselves, and there are companies out there like Right Now Technologies and Radiant 6 that have offerings that allow you to do certain things. And I think as I talk to a lot of our customer base about this, it doesn't seem that too many people yet know what they want to do. I think it's still kind of in this infancy stage, and everybody's trying to figure out, what do we do? And then many customers on the business side are completely disconnected from marketing organizations that manage a lot of this for them, so there's no one even talking internally. I expect those things to continue to change. For the customers who do have a pretty good idea about what they want to see today, it's pretty much in three areas. First one would be just buzz monitoring, simply capturing and classifying all posts and comments about what their customer base is saying, whether that be in YouTube, social media, Twitter, so forth and so on, and just capturing that data and providing it to them. We've got others who are looking specifically for more sophisticated analysis in the buzz monitoring, cross information with call center data, and delivering suggestions and recommendations back to the business. So incorporating that right into your call center front in the agent level. And then we've got those that are starting to get some appetites for engagement, where whether it be us responding inside of forums on the customer's behalf, representing them, or simply engaging with the customers inside of a forum real time. Now, these are things that the customers, I think, are starting to create a little bit more, they're getting a higher degree of comfort than they ever have. But this is really the next wave of innovation that I see, and I think as much the do not call policy wrecked a lot of small telemarketing companies in the U.S. market back in 2001, 2002, I believe it was. Many companies had to quickly reinvent themselves, and they went after strategic acquisitions to get into scale on the tech space or into care or in the inbound care space. So you've either got to be thinking about acquisitions, partnering with companies who are doing this, working with your R&D groups to create models that allow you to support this forum. But this is really going to be the next game changer in terms of how we see it, where our customers will interact with a contact center. I think we'll hear less and less about the word call center. That's about it for me. So I think at the end of the day, you've heard some things about what we're doing inside of the space. I shared again just some statistics that have been published from some third-party resources about where the industry is going in the Philippines, and some of the shortfalls that are there in front of us. And frankly, those are real. At the end of the day, it's going to boil down to our ability to effectively manage through those by taking care of our people and differentiating ourselves for our clients. delivering for our clients so we're not losing business, and then engaging that employee base so that we're not losing our people and we're not churning over our people. But frankly speaking, the crystal ball still being a little bit murky. There is no next Philippines. I don't know how many times you guys are asked that question. So where's the next Philippines? Where do we go after this? There isn't. Now, you have other markets that'll be nice niche players. I shared with you for us, places like Costa Rica and Jamaica and El Salvador and the Dominican, and areas in which you can do some English language work. You can do customer engagement with an English-speaking workforce, but nowhere can you do it on the scale that we're doing it here in the Philippines. So I'm happy to be here. I'm still excited about what the future holds, and hopefully this was a little bit beneficial for you and insightful at the same time. So thank you for your attendance.
Very good. And David's wife, lovely and talented wife, is here today, so he's showing his her support and his.
If you want to hear more about the Balut story, I'm sure she'll be happy to tell you the real deal.
Oh, it's getting on a bit, but we do have time for some questions. You mentioned the banks, the financial institutions. They're moving in a big way. There's a headline, Wells Fargo is one of the more recent ones to announce a big hiring program. And their financial model is different from other people's. And is that going to affect the third-party providers? Will they need to move?
Anybody who tells you that there is no effect is blowing smoke. It's absolutely an effect. They're certainly positioning themselves to be the premium supplier to their employee base through a compensation model. That's not just direct compensation, but also in the benefit space as well, which are rather healthy to enter inside of a captive environment. The other thing that's very attractive to the employee base inside of a captive model as well is that there aren't the stress and the pressures of the program efficiency metrics, because you're not being managed to a per minute contract. You're not being managed to a per-call contract. You're not having to deal with handle time caps. So the agent is in a position to take their time on a call, resolve it stress-free. And if you talk to the agents, and I have, that have been in a captive environment, one of the most attractive things for them is not just the compensation, but it's the fact that it's not just call after call after call. It's not as stressful of an environment. And that's why we have to overinvest even more in all of the other employee touch-point activity that we are inside of our space. Because for BPO providers, that's not a luxury that we're ever going to have.
Interesting. Okay, I'll just ask one more. You mentioned, you made a small comment about India, some work that had been moved here and different things, but are you comfortable comparing Philippines to India, is the first part of the question. The second question is, you mentioned there's no next Philippines. Some guys talk about Africa as having a large population, but you don't figure that's down the road, right?
Yeah, I think there's still going to be emerging markets that can support English language work above and beyond what has been identified already. Certainly Africa is one of those locations, but again, it comes back down to the scale. I don't think you're going to have any location that you're going to be able to do 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 seats of high-quality English language engagement work inside of a contact center inside of those markets. So they're certainly there. In relation to India, I think over time there'll be a little bit of a shakeout between Philippines